All right, Mr. Stein, you were the first one to show up. You're always game. So if you're cool and you want to lead us off,
Sure, although it's going to be a little on the heavy side, but okay.
all right, bring it, man. Bring
Okay.
it.
Okay, let me get ready, Jeff.
Nadia's got to get ready. Give us like 5 seconds before you start. We're getting ready.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Mute yourselves if you've got a lot of background noise or dogs or babies. Otherwise, it's up to you. Cool, Jeff.
I'm 5 or 6. I can't remember. What I remember, what I remember is that I'm just sitting there and I have this teacher who just keeps yelling at me about this math problem. And I don't get it. And when I say I don't get it, it's not that I don't want to get it. It's just I don't understand. And she continues to yell at me as if I'm some sort of terrorist or something. As if to berate me would make anything better or easier. And the worst part is she's doing it in front of all of my classmates. So now I just don't feel confused. I feel embarrassed. I feel humiliated. I feel small and uncomfortable. And that's when the bell rings, thank God. And I'm thinking to myself, at least I get to go home. No, everyone else gets to go home. Apparently, I have to stay because I don't understand. And so, as the other kids are filing out, kind of giggling and laughing and smirking and looking at me, I just really kind of wish I was anywhere but there. And as they're all gone, it's just me, myself, I, and the crazy freaking first grade teacher who now just seems to be yelling at me like an interrogation room. And the worst part is it's not that I don't want to understand. It's not like I don't want to learn. It's not like I don't want to know the answer. I do. I just don't get it. There's a part of me where I almost just want to say the answer. So maybe she'll be done, but it doesn't seem like that's just going to be good enough. And I'm crying. I'm crying. I'm bawling. I just don't know what this woman wants from me. Aren't teachers supposed to help? Why is this person yelling at me? Why don't they like me? What's wrong with me? Why can't this person help me? Why is this person refusing to understand or to want to help me? I don't really remember how I got out of that room. I know at some point I had to, but I don't remember how. I don't know if I answered it correctly. I don't even know if I got it right. I just remember that at some point I was gone. And that's really the first time that I ran into issues with schools because I have learning disabilities. Learning disabilities that were diagnosed by the University of Northwestern at the age of 4. But for some strange reason, that school decided that they didn't know what they were talking about. So this crazy lady decides that she's going to sit there and keep me there because I don't understand how 2 + 2 = 4. Because it just doesn't click in my brain like it does everybody else. And I'm as frustrated as she is, maybe more so. I wish I could say that that was the only time that that would happen. It wasn't. That was the first of many paths, of many directions, of many ways that I would find that the world was just not accepting of someone with learning disabilities. Boom.
Boom transcends all events these days. Hey, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Nice, man. Thank you. Jeff, would you share with those here who may not know, this evening, a little bit later, you have an event, yes?
Yeah, if you have Clubhouse,
If you
or you have an iPhone and can get Clubhouse, I am doing an event. I can't get the link in here because technically I'm using my PC. So I don't know how to get the link. I don't know how to get the link in here. But yeah, tonight, what would be 10:30 Eastern time, I have what's called Sunday Night Stories, and this is our 6th week. And we bring in 4 people to usually tell about 7 to 10 minute personal stories and hang out, a little bit sometimes intense, sometimes not, sometimes kick back, smoke a bowl, get your craft beverage, kick back, end the week with it. So yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Does anybody here have Clubhouse? I'm just curious. Andrew?
Say it again. What's it called?
Clubhouse. It's an app specifically for Apple, right?
At the moment.
At the moment.
Oh, so if I'm not Apple, I'm not there anyway.
Can't be in it, right? They're being
No.
very mean
Okay.
about it.
They're
And I think
working on it.
It's
That
it's
takes
for
care of
cool
that.
kids only, yeah. And it's audio, only audio. So it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting, but
I like to listen.
yeah, for sure. Sure.
I
Tori's
don't
not
just
cool
sit
yet.
down and
Nope.
just listen here.
Maybe after
Hey.
you go on your festival weekend next weekend, we'll let you in the club, Tori.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think I have some invites. I haven't been using it much. So if somebody has an iPhone and they feel like they want to,
Yeah, I was
Dive
gonna say I have
into
an
it.
invite or two. If needed, if somebody's got an iPhone, then yeah, but
I wonder if people are selling their invites at all. I wouldn't be surprised.
I
Not
don't know.
me. I'm just thinking, wonder if anyone does that.
I don't know. I know, or I think it might have been back a while back, but now I feel like everybody's got so many that they're sitting on that it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
yeah, no, I hear you. So
Yeah, and depending on the time, again, I think we have 4 tellers here. So afterwards, if people want to chat, and if you're open to it, and this is directed at the tellers, if people have any questions about your story, if you're open to that,
yeah.
perhaps they can ask and inquire. Cool. So my list, I have 4: Tori, Shine, cool but not cool enough for Clubhouse in Pittsburgh.
I don't know if I'm not cool enough for Clubhouse. I'm not obviously not cool enough for
Nah, I'm just playing. So you've got a story, yeah?
I got a story.
Cool.
Yes, it's funny. I started to I tried to do improvise a 99 of this during the grit workshop last week. And so I was trying to turn it into a 99 and it turned into something that's not a 99. So I thought I'd try the longer version here and then just kind of see.
Oh.
So I'm still writing it. It's going to be a little rough. It's not actually written out yet. I just kind of have it in my head. But
Cool.
I'm 8 years old, and the worst part of my day is waiting for the school bus. Alex Schiavi lives 2 doors down, and Alex is my personal bully. Every day at the school bus, he picks on me. He calls me names and teases me. He pushes me, throws rocks at me, throws my violin into the street. My best friend, Mikkel, we hang out almost every day after school, but at the bus stop, she pretends she's not my friend because she doesn't want to get picked on too. Every school day starts and ends at the bus stop. And when you're bullied like that, it doesn't just beat your body, it beats your belief in your own self-worth. It beats your confidence. It beats every bit of courage you have inside of you. My parents complained to the school, but the school says because it doesn't happen at school, it's at the school bus stop, it's outside their jurisdiction. And this goes on for years. One day, Alex knocks me down in a driveway and beats me with a hockey stick. My big brother wanted to beat him up, But if my 13-year-old brother beats up 8-year-old Alex, my brother's going to get into a boatload of trouble. My parents say no. My big sister wants to beat him up. But if my 18-year-old sister beats up 8-year-old Alex, she's going to get in even more trouble. She is legally an adult. My parents say it could give her a criminal record. Absolutely not. But something's got to be done. And so they talk about it, and my family decides that the best person to beat up Alex is me. So I am the wimpiest, weakest 8-year-old girl on the planet. I am in the orchestra and the band, and I take piano lessons on the side. I'm friends with my teachers. I get straight A's, and I still do the extra credit just for fun. And I'm not convinced that I'm the right person to beat up Alex. I am looking for any excuse out of this grand plan. And I say to my brother, I'm like, if I try to hit him, he'll kill me. And my brother says, like, no, Tori, actually, Alex isn't really that tough. You know, he's like a peacock with his feathers all spread out, you know, or like a puffer fish. He's actually kind of short and scrawny, but he puffs up and he acts real big. And my brother has a point because I am taller than Alex. So my brother takes a mattress from the attic and he wraps it up in duct tape into like a long cylinder form. And he hangs it from the rafters in our basement like a makeshift punching bag. And every day after school, my brother gives me lessons how to beat up a boy. First, you punch him in the face. Then you knee him in the balls. And then you push him on the ground. So I'm 8 years old. I have no idea what balls are. My brother tells me I don't need to know. I just need to know where they are. And we practice with the punching bag. I'm still not convinced. I'm like, how do you know he's going to fall down? And my brother says, trust me, boys' balls are very sensitive. If you knee him in the balls, Alex will go down. I'm still looking for an excuse. I'm like, well, if I knock down Alex, all of his friends are going to beat me up. And my brother says, no. Right when the wimpy 8-year-old girl beats up the school bully, they don't team up and beat up the girl. Everybody laughs at the bully. That's just how it happens. But I'm not convinced. So change of plans. Instead of beating up Alex at the bus stop, now the plan is for me to beat up Alex at school during recess on the playground. And as soon as he hits the ground, I start screaming, right? And one of the teacher aides will come running because they'll think that I'm getting beat up. And when the teacher gets there, well, nobody can attack me because there's a teacher. But the twist is that if I beat him up at school, unlike Alex, I will get in trouble. I will get suspended from school for fighting. Getting suspended from school for fighting is the scariest thing a wimpy 8-year-old girl can imagine. That's like something that happens to really, really bad kids, and I'm not a bad kid. This is when my parents intervene. They sit me down and they tell me that I shouldn't be afraid to stand up for myself, and that it's okay if I beat up Alex, and that I should beat up Alex. And my parents tell me that if I get suspended from school for fighting, they will take me to the beach for every day of my suspension. And we will spend every one of those days celebrating a victory. Alex's own mother is in on the plan. She pulls up to me after school one day, rolls down her car window. She tells me her son is out of control and she doesn't know how to stop it. She tells me she thinks it would be good for him to get beat up by a girl. Alex's mother tells me that if I beat up her son, she will give me $10, which is a heck of a lot of money. Everyone is in on it. There's no more excuses. Every question has been answered. The only thing standing in between me and this victory lap of an ending is myself. So the day comes. Recess is called. Everyone runs outside. I walk onto the playground. I take a big breath. And I do nothing. Boom.
Oh, hi, Tori. Thank you.
Not quite the 99-second version.
No, I did hear a version of that, but it was shorter. Yeah, a little different. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. Something's happening with our experiences at school that are leaving their marks on people. Shit, what's happening in these institutions?
Like elementary
Troy,
school on the day.
do you have anything in the next week or so? I know you're involved with a bunch of stuff.
I've got a thing, Pittsburgh Fringe Festival, Saturday, May 8th.
Really?
We're doing international edition with artists from Hawaii, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and the UK. All
Those
the-
4 places naturally, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Potatoes. The event isn't even, well, it's on.
Wait, so are you producing something there? Or are you?
Yeah, I'm producing it and I'm in it.
What are you going to be doing in it?
So we have like a featured poet. His name's Dominic Barry. He was the poet in residence at the Glastonbury Festival. He's done a bunch of other gigs. So he'll do poems, and then there's an improv comedy team that does a series of scenes inspired by each poem. And then throughout the show, I write a story in poem form.
Oh, wow.
Inspired by all of it. And so at the end of the show, I perform the mashed potato, which is like a mashup of everything from the night.
Oh my God, that's pressure, man.
Yeah, it's a very high pressure. It's a lot of fun. There's always a minute, there's like a moment 2/3 of the way through the show when I'm like, what the hell am I doing? And then somehow thus far, I've been able to pull it together and make it work. So.
I'm trying to get Steph, because Steph does Story Jam, and her main thing is like stories, and then she writes original music, but she hasn't been doing it since COVID. And I was like, can you listen to the first round of the 99s? And while you're listening, put like an original song together. And then in between the first round and the second round, play the original song, which is like, there was a long pause. I don't know if I actually got an answer. Like, I think it's like what you're doing, but maybe even more challenging because there's like a musical component too, right? Not just words.
It's interesting.
I'd love to see her try. I mean,
I should. It's hard when I'm in a show, but yeah, I wonder if maybe I'll try to do that.
If you're not in one of the 99s, it's different. But if you're not in one, that would be cool. If it's, yeah, I would love to try something like that where you take. I mean, I know how you. Yeah, I don't even have a specific vision for it, but I just can imagine 16. If it's 16, it's a lot. That's the problem. But maybe you could just pick and choose and just pop something out.
Yeah, it's I love it's like it actually forces me to listen more, like listen more carefully and just kind of extracting all the interesting characters, the interesting lines, the interesting scenes, the themes, and just kind of mashing them up into a new story.
Thus the mash.
Yes, the mashed poetry.
That's the word mash. All right, cool. I won't take that word, 99 mash. I won't be doing that. It's your word. Cool. All right, thanks. Nadia, it's now, you know what? This is the perfect thing here. We've got tellers and a nice audience, and we're going to be done by 8. It's an hour. That's what I said it was. Mental health happy-ish hour, not mental health happy-ish day. So yeah, Nadia in Chicago, who is Romanian, I believe, even though that's not really relevant. Are you still with us? Or are you frozen? Does she look frozen to you all?
Yes.
Or maybe she's just playing a game. Maybe she's just totally still. Oh, that she's gone. While Nadia hopefully comes back, David, did you want to pop in and tell something? I'd love to hear it.
Me?
You said that you were contemplating, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Cool.
Boy, how about some of you go? I'll go after the next guy.
All right. Nadia is back. Nadia, can you hear me okay? You want to unmute?
I'm muted. Yes.
Did you you got popped off of Zoom for a sec?
I did, and then I connected to the Ethernet cable, so now I'm good.
Awesome. Are you comfortable to tell your story?
Yeah.
Awesome. We are all ears whenever you want to start.
Okay. All that night has been a struggle for me to fall asleep. So when my phone rang at 5 a.m. that morning, as I just managed to fall asleep, I was so annoyed. I grabbed the phone, ready to silence it, when I also saw a bunch of texts. Are you awake? Please answer. I need to talk to you. The texts were from my cousin in Romania, who was also the one calling me. I instantly switched from feeling annoyed to feeling panic. and I managed to answer the call on its last ring. Is everything okay? I whispered, to which an avalanche of words and sobs hit me, leaving me breathless. I was watching TV and then I saw your sister on the news. She's reported missing with her son too. She's gone. She's gone. They have been searching for her in the forest because she was last seen having a picnic by the forest. She has been out overnight and it's freezing and her son apparently doesn't even have socks on. What are you gonna do? She's gone. She's gone. What am I gonna do? My slightly younger sister, by 2 years, moved back to Romania a few years before, trying to get a fresh start on her life and her son's life. Here in the United States, as a young adult, she struggled with alcohol abuse, eating disorders, bouts of homelessness. And I have been asking myself that question, what am I gonna do, for so many years when it came to her? What am I gonna do? Alexandra, my sister, was like a roller coaster in my life. Growing up, she would get into fights every day with me, our siblings, schoolmates. She would lie about everything. She would forge my parents' signatures, steal money from them. She hated school, and she started skipping classes by the time she was in 5th grade. I knew from a pretty young age to stay away from her and not make her mad because she would not spare her punches and verbal insults. But then she also had a sweet side. She would laugh with me, play with me, and later would go out of her way to help me when I needed help. And well into adulthood, she went back and forth between these two extremes, leaving me wondering what was wrong with her. Coming from Romania, a country where mental illness is viewed as something that you either eventually snap out of it as part of growing up, or if you don't, you self-medicate with alcohol as an adult. My sister was labeled as a difficult child. Here in the United States, she became a difficult adult on drinking binges. Hey, Nadia, come pick me up from the police station. Those motherfuckers got me locked up again. Getting into fights. That jerk deserved it. Losing jobs. That fucking manager fired me because I didn't show up for work for 3 days. Losing apartments. Landlord was an asshole, so I stopped paying rent. But those times also alternated with periods of going to college and getting her bachelor in criminal justice, the irony, and becoming an assistant store manager at CVS. And I was always there for her, picking up her broken pieces, giving her money and shelter, listening to her tales. I never knew the reality in her life, and also allowing her back into my life over and over again, even when one day, after 2 years of disappearing, she showed up with a newborn son who had a medical condition. I housed them at my place for a while, taking her and her son to the many doctor appointments that he needed to go to, taking care of her and her baby, till one day when she tried to slap me because I forgot to buy her Hershey's cookies and cream chocolate bar. That was the day when I didn't hold back. And I told her that she cannot be in my life unless she gets therapy and she learns how to treat herself and the people who love her. She scoffed at me, saying there's nothing wrong with her, and asked my brother for money to get a plane ticket to Romania away from me and start her new life with a baby. Police were able to find her and her son after 2 days, days during which I blamed myself for not being nicer to her, maybe a little more understanding. She nonchalantly told the police that she had to hide in the forest because there were some bad people trying to steal her son and they were after her. She finally got hospitalized and officially diagnosed with schizophrenia. Her baby was taken from her and given in temporary custody to my cousin there, while my sister had to follow a treatment for 6 weeks. I called her while she was in a hospital, and she said she was there because she had a cold, a really bad cold. And again, I didn't know, like I never knew with her all my life, what to do. Stay away from her or help her. Boo.
Thanks, Nadia.
Welcome.
Yeah.
This was a hard story.
I have no doubt. Yeah. Mm,
And I think it was harder for me because so many things happened with me and my sister
for sure.
that I did not, I mean, I had a hard time staying on one path in a way.
Yep, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
right.
No, there are certain stories that are just so big. I guess that's the word I use. I don't know if it's always the right word, where it's like, how do you choose what to include and what not to include? It's tricky.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. I don't want to sound like I'm not much of a wordsmith. Andrew, help me out here. I don't know the word. I don't want to sound blank, but really just like hearing stories about people's the stories around things that we don't typically talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to sound trite. Is that the right word? Glib? Is it another monosyllabic word that I'm not clear on what the definition is? I don't want to sound blank, but help me out, Andrew.
I don't want to sound.
I like trite.
Trite.
Mm-hmm.
But it's true, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's important.
And I feel like even here in the United States, I mean, it's getting better, but I don't know if, she wasn't diagnosed here. She was diagnosed back in Romania, but I feel even here people don't like to talk about, mental illness. And yeah, and in Romania, I think it was even more because mental illness meant you should be in a hospital crazy,
Yeah.
and you added yeah. So yeah.
The challenge I find is that, like a lot of places where you're talking about something that isn't always sort of the common narrative, is it's like an echo chamber a little bit. Like the people that need to hear it are already on board.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you reach people who are sort of in that middle ground? And I don't have an answer. It's a question. Like, how do you get people who might really not want to talk about or hear about mental illness or whatever you want, mental health conditions or whatever, to listen? I don't have an answer. So
Yeah, I don't. I don't.
but for sure, people be willing to talk about it is a step in the right direction.
Right.
What does glib mean? Why am I misusing that word all the time? I use it all the time. I have no idea what it means. I'm like, that's so glib, and I have no idea what it means.
Glib?
Yeah, I love it.
Glib means you're not taking it as seriously as you should.
I love it. I use it for everything. I'll use it and replace, like, instead of saying, yeah, I can't give examples. And that's why people look at me weirdly often.
Because I shouldn't be using it.
That's not the reason. Andrew's like, nah, that's not actually the reason, dude. Look at your face, bro. Sadistic.
Sadistic.
Like, I don't mean to sound, what's the word? But I just really like hearing stories about other people's trauma. Or I don't know.
Well, it's not that. No,
I don't know what word you're looking for, but I'm like, there's a lot of words that you
the word that I was looking for, which might have been trite, was, it's like, people talk, oh, it's so important that we share certain stories, but you don't really mean it. But I do mean it, but I don't want to sound like I don't mean it. Does that make sense? Like, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, man, I fucking mean it. There's a little sadism in there too, probably, to be honest. Who knows?
I think it's actually glib. Glib is that insincere kind of, oh, I know how you,
Right. You see, Andrew, I was right.
So it is glib.
Maybe there's a reason that word was coming to the surface.
Eventually, Sean will figure it out.
Probably
You
not.
use it at every possible opportunity. You will be right sometimes.
Right, yeah, right. Andrew will appreciate this, and it's really a stretch, but it reminds me of my uncle having predicted every single Mickey Mantle home run. Do you know how he did that, Andrew, and others?
He predicted a home run every single time he swung the bat.
Every single time. So if you say the word, yes, if you use it enough times, you'll get it right sometimes.
Was he on 5-minute delay?
Yeah. About it, Mickey Mantle started playing, in the late 50s? Is that about right? So
yeah, probably.
Yeah. Okay, cool. David, how you feeling?
I'll try one with the understanding there's an element of impromptu here.
Sure.
But I've spent the week looking at instructions and trying to piece together what a story might look like.
Oh,
So
shit.
anyway,
Feeling glib right
the,
now.
the single the single most unique's not quite the word, but event in my mental health pursuit. Not that I wasn't, but we are all in a position to get better. I don't know that I was necessarily way not okay. The 70s were filled with I'm okay, you're okay was the cool book to be reading, and the transactional analysis was what it was called. There was a group that was free in the counseling center at my university. I like free. And like I said, I really don't want to underscore this, but because it was free and I was going to be better. Not that I was uncomfortable with where I was, but why not get a roadmap, get some instructions as to how it's happening. So probably a semester in middle of the following semester, all of a sudden I'm thinking I'm having a nervous breakdown at lunch, and I head to the counseling center, and my graduate assistant, we'll call her Lisa, was out to lunch, and I had to wait, and I'm just shaking back and forth under this tree waiting for 1 o'clock to go see Lisa. So I'm in her office. The only time I was one-on-one with anybody in this kind of context in my life. And I said, why did I just think of my first dog that was chained in the tree out back? She said, I don't know, but did you pet it? I said, oh, yeah, a lot. She said, well, get on the floor and pet it. And she took me back. And I knew where I was. I was in 1970, we'll call it 4 in the count. I mean, I knew where I was, but I also got a chance to be 7 or 8 or 9, and with that dog, and watching my front porch with my mom, and who at the time was our state representative in Harrisburg. And I made a whole lot of bad decisions as that little boy hugging that dog about what I was looking at. And it shaped my life and probably until that day I hugged the dog again, got to rethink quite a bit of that. And over the next, I call it 6 months to a year, a lot just fell out, just went away, just disappeared. Consequence of a bad decision, having remade that decision, those consequences kind of fell by the wayside too. And it was one of the most amazing things to be in 2 different times and at the same time, and get to rethink that. But I got to watch one other human being do that in a different context. That's not this story, but anyway, we'll call that mine.
Boom.
Anybody got a time on that?
I didn't time it.
Okay.
I don't think about the times with this particular event. People just talking, unless they're at
No
like
worries. I'll check
27
the
minutes.
chat, actually. The chat will give me some idea
That's
of how
true.
many minutes went by between me and Nadia.
Yeah, that was at least a few minutes, maybe 4 minutes,
Okay.
I guess. What do you guys think?
I'll take comments if anybody's got them, or we can, whatever.
Yeah. No, this isn't really like feedback on the story, unless you really want it. It's more about a conversation about this stuff.
Yeah, the content, not the.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's fine with me.
No, that was interesting. And unless someone's been inspired to tell a story, you are our 4 storytellers. So thanks. And I will ask if you want to unmute and just talk. Questions for our tellers or others. You can vent a little bit too. People don't give you permission to vent very often. Here you get to vent. Not at somebody, but it's a little vent moment. It's part of the mental health happy hour, which is venting.